Over the years, numerous executions took place in this enigmatic building, Sednaya Prison. Executions were carried out at dawn at this notorious site, and the corpses of the victims were transported to unknown locations. We may never learn much about the victims' final hours or the nature of the trials that convicted them, but the Syria Prisons Museum's comprehensive field investigation has laid out a hypothesis about the location of the executions and how they were carried out. On December 8, 2024, armed opposition factions took control of Sednaya Prison and set its prisoners free. The next day, Arabic media circulated a video showing sturdy red ropes that were likely used in executions. These ropes were hidden inside bags in the isolated industrial workshop wing on the prison's ground floor, and they disappeared after its liberation. Since it opened in 1987, this prison and the abuses committed in its corridors have remained hidden, although survivor testimonies and human rights reports suggest that systematic executions occurred. Evidence about this issue remains scarce. Within days of the fall of the Assad regime, the Syria Prisons Museum team entered Sednaya Prison to conduct a full scan and to film the complete building with specialized cameras. They documented the names on Sednaya's walls and recorded what remained of its contents and the equipment that had survived immediate looting and vandalism. Beginning in early 2025, the Syria Prisons Museum recorded 43 testimonies with survivors of Sednaya's Red Building, including 26 testimonies by prisoners held there between 2011 and 2024. As testimonies continued to be collected, new information emerged about the executions inside.
انت هون احساسك، هون انا على الاحساس نسمع تصبت المنصه العصريات تروح السياره هيك للساعه 9 المساء تقريبا ينزلوهم من فوق. هي اول شيء يعني هذا السمع، نحن ما عرفنا، نحن سمع ينزلوهم من فوق 9 المساء، اسم امه اضباره بدوا ينزلوهم لتحت، يختفي الصوت. هذا الحكي بين قتل وضرب شي ساعة ونص، يختفي الصوت هيك للساعة 2-3 بالليل. 3 بالليل نسمع اسم، يسألوا شو اسمه، وصوت خبط حديد، يعني مثلا كل 10 دقائق صوت خبط حديد.
Muhammad Khanis, imprisoned in Sednaya from 2012 to 2019, was one of the earliest prisoners whose testimony about the executions was recorded by the museum, but he was not the only witness.
هلا الإعدامات كنا بما إنه نحن كنا جداد وطابع عالي عن الأرض فما نعرف شيء، بس كتير حتى أخذوا أشخاص من عنا نحن بعد ما نزلوا على المحكمة يطلع أسماء بالليل، كون نايمين فجأة يفتحوا باب الجناح ينادوا أسماء.
ما نسمع هيك صوت زحكي ما زحكي هيك، بس ما نعرف شو اللون الإعدام، بس إحنا لحالنا نتخيل يعني ناس تقول بالحبل، ناس تقول بيعلقوهم بالحبل بشدوه، الناس بتقول كل واحد يعني إحنا لحالنا نحلل، بس نشوف برات الباب ما بنعرف يعني، ما شفنا، ما حد شاف بعينه يعني.
حلم؟ لا والله حلم شلون بدي موت، احلام انا عم موت، شلون طريقه الموت، شلون، لانه كل يوم بالليل نحط ايدنا على الارض نسمع تحت حديد يومين بالاسبوع، يا يوم نتذكر يوم بالاسبوع بتجي هالسيارات، نسمع صوت سيارات، صوت حديد وصوت هي، يعني هون القدامى يقولوا اخي هدول اعدامات.
Several factors affected how much accurate information former prisoners had concerning the executions, such as the date they were imprisoned, the length of their detention, and the locations of the cells where they were held in relation to the presumed site of the executions. Testimonies from prisoners in Wing A left on the first floor were of particular importance because of this area's proximity to the reception hall and to a section of the breathing yard on the ground floor. The Syria Prisons Museum team believes this was the scene of the executions and the point from which the victims' corpses were removed from the prison.
أنا كان مهجعي هون تقريبا نحط هذا الحيط هيك تقريبا مهجع 6 كنت حط راسي على البلاط عشان بسمع صوت سحب حديد روماني هيك، صوت خبط وسيارات بتجي بهاي القرنة، وبنسمع صوت سحب وشغل بالليل بهاي المنطقة بهاي القرنة. نسمع نحن توقعاتنا ليشنا كأيامنا سنين نحن يعني إذا هوا طير مرق من هون بنعرف هذا الطير اللي جاي لهي القرنة.
The testimonies relied on sounds heard rather than direct sightings. The museum team searched for the metal equipment that witnesses mentioned hearing on specific nights.
على فكرة بآخر الألف يسار في باب منه كانت تيجي السيارات تاخذ الجثث الإعدام. الله أعلم هاي منصات الإعدام، هاي منصات الإعدام أنا متأكد. هاي منصات حركوها، يمكن في بواري هون تنحط معلقة عليها يمكن الإحبال.
فهذا الصوت مميز. هي الطاولات ثقيلة من هيك الشرطة ما كانت تشيل تجرها الجر، فنحن كنا نسمع هذا الصوت كان يعلق، بس يوم اللي يطلع جنزير يطلع هذا الصوت. ولسه في صوت المدرج تبع المنصة. جيت تفاجأت كمان هذا المدرج، فعرفت انه كان نفس صوت. فهذا الصوت كان يطلع مثل المدحلة.
At this stage, the museum team analyzed the information from the interviews alongside a complete survey of the prison buildings and an analysis of the function of every object and piece of equipment inside. Each testimony offered a part of the truth. The museum had to assemble the pieces of the puzzle, identifying the various parts used in the executions, which the prison administration had scattered throughout different rooms. Some had been covered with cloths to conceal their real use. Based on the testimonies, the museum focused its efforts on Wing A left on the ground floor as the likely crime scene. The museum's forensic architects and investigative journalists concentrated on certain metal pieces found on the ground floor. They measured their dimensions and length to confirm their connection to the executions. Using Autodesk software, the architects verified that the stair heights matched the metal tables and then calculated the bar heights in comparison with the height of an average person. After gathering and analyzing the evidence, the team moved on to analyze testimonies from prisoners who had been held in Sednaya from 1987 to 2011. These interviews, which will be presented in later investigations, provided valuable information about the prison's structure and revealed new details related to the executions that supported the hypotheses built by the museum. Muhammad Yahi al-Harith and Muhammad Bashir Arabi were prisoners in Sednaya from 1987 to 1992. Both were previously first detained at Tadmor Prison in 1980. Each was aged 16 at the time. From the windows of Tadmor Prison's juvenile cells, they were able to see dozens of executions carried out openly in one of the prison yards. After years of detention in Tadmor Prison, the two were among the first group of prisoners to be transferred into Sednaya Prison when it opened in 1987. Although they did not witness executions there, they were able to outline the features of the execution platform and to detect fitting components based on their experience in Tadmor. After collecting dozens of pieces of evidence, the Syria Prison's Museum began a practical test of its hypotheses by assembling the bars, tables, and stairs believed to form parts of the execution platform. The process was not easy given the variety of diameters and sizes of the bars found in the ground floor halls, as well as the possibility that parts of the platform were missing due to the looting that followed the liberation of the prison. Muhammad Yahi al-Harith and Muhammad Bashir Arabi inspected the reconstruction.
شو وقت انت قلبتها ما دخل البوري فيها؟
دخل.
هذا الاعدامات
بالضبط. هذول كانوا نفسهم بتدمور بس كانوا خشب بتدمور. نفسهم السبع قواعد.
وعم بيتركبوا ينفكوا.
بيحطوهم 3 دفعات وبيشدوهم الشرطة، يعني بيأسروا.
The platform was assembled over 2 days under the supervision of the 2 former prisoners. They judged that the killing devices had been essentially the same in both prisons, but had different materials. The execution platform in Tadmor was wooden, the one in Sednaya was made of iron. Documenting the prison sites, collecting testimonies, investigating the equipment and its potential use in executions, these constitute the elements the Syria Prison Museum used to prove its hypotheses about the nature of the execution crime scene and the specific tools used. The true number of victims remains unknown.